Now, you know what state law we need to change? I don't think any of you in here know about it. Do you actually know a school board member cannot enter a school unless they're invited? Did anybody know? Yeah, a school board member cannot enter a school just to visit. The school board member, that's a law, stupid law, dumbest law in the world, and it's a state law. But the school board member, so you can talk to a school board member and he can actually say, I'm not defending them, but they can actually say they don't know. And you'll think, well, don't you go to the schools? And they'll tell you, no, I got to be invited, which is dumb.
They have to be invited.
They have to be invited. Now, how dumb is that?
I don't understand. Like I said, I'm trying to make sense of that,
and it doesn't make
no sense,
right?
But it's a law. You said the key thing. It is a law, and it can be changed.
Yes,
you know what I mean. When you have the people who want to change it. So
it's a law. It's a crazy law.
It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? As a school board representative, you should be engaged at every level too. You know, understanding what's going on in all the schools. I mean, that just makes sense to me. But like I said, that's, you know,
something we could change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you care, if you care.
So what made you become emotional? What did you hear the girls say that brought you to the other level of, I'm not a panel person right now. I'm a mother. I'm a black woman. I am a woman. I'm listening. And this got to stop.
To be honest, of course, I'm not going to mention the young lady's name.
No.
But she, when she talked about the fact that one of her friends, he committed suicide because he was being bullied at home and at school. That kind of, you know, and the girl was only 11 years old.
There you go.
She was 11 years old, and she's already witnessed that type of, you know, that type of tragedy in her life. And like I said, that right there, and she was the first young lady, like I said, I got up and I went and hugged her, because, you know, as you can't just sit and listen to something like that and not feel some kind of way as a mother. And so that right there, like I said, that kind of got the meter, the temperature boiling, you know what I mean? that kind of got it. And so like I said, I'm sitting there listening, and I know that, you know, that as parents, we make tough decisions all the time. I talked about how, you know, I was in the military and I had to send my daughter away to family and even to a friend, you know, while I was deployed. And it, you know, it wasn't the easiest decision. So that took away some of my time from her, and it affects our relationship. And that's just being blunt honest. It affects our relationship, and that's what is happening. Whether you choose to realize it or not, that's what's happening. And I'm not saying that, you know, you of course you have to listen, but you have to have a balance. People have to work. You know, you got to go and pay the bills. You got to make sure they're taken care of. But there has to be, we have to be a little bit more deliberate in making sure that we get that time with our children every single day, you know, and then, like I said, at the same time, engaging on those other fronts that, you know, that we can fight on. So that's kind of, you know. So do you think, so before, now do you realize that we've been building the village on toothpicks and bricks? It's true, and it's saddening. And we're the wrong villagers. Yeah, not wrong, but we've been building something we've been working with a mentality that is not, you know, it's not correct. You know what I'm saying? We have to listen. And like I said, it's a good thing that you did that. I mean, I appreciate you having that type of forum, because like I said, it gave us a chance to go back and, you know, understand the way some things are and why things are the way they are. So, but yeah, I mean, as like I said, Craig said, it's just going to take some time. Yeah, you know, it's going to take time, and so now we know we have no reason, you know, that we can't ignore it any longer. True. So that's kind of, you know. Yeah. Okay. When that, I don't know if Winetta, she, you know, Winetta has, you know, said she's going to get me really bad. She's been threatening me. She thinks I'm this crazy woman, especially when I called her and told her what we're going to do in 2 weeks, and I didn't give her time to think. How you doing? I'm doing great. Okay, you were the person that shook me to make me do this.
Well, you know me. I've become a mom to kids. Right. Even though I'm only 22, you know, high school kids, I get stuck with them. But I've dealt with every issue. I have multiple personalities, and I wanted the community to hear it. I wanted them to see the pain that I see. I wanted them to feel the anger that I feel. And I think we did it.
Yeah, they did. The kids did.
there's a lot that these kids deal with. And I remember somebody said, well, kids got to speak up. Well, no, that's not their job.
Right.
Our job as adults is to find out why that child is acting the way they are. Because if a child is acting out, they were either hurt, they were disappointed. So now they're trying to get somebody to realize, hey, I need help. But they don't know how to do it. Tavares said they don't have the wisdom.
Right.
So their thing is, I'm going to act out. And as a society, we say, oh, let's just leave them alone. Excuse me, because they're nobody, you know, they're going to be another statistic. We don't need any more statistics. Let's stop doing those numbers. If you want to do some numbers, let's start doing positive numbers. Let's start finding out why this particular child is angry. I've had kids be angry and then find out, well, we don't have any lights on at our house. We don't have any food at our house. Are you going to talk to me? No. It's not that I'm angry. I'm in pain. My stomach is growling because I haven't eaten. So those are things that I deal with on a daily basis. I can't even go to the mall without hearing, hey, Ms. Vines, you know? So it's the thing is, as a community, as a village, honestly, we've done a horrible job.
Right.
The thing is, we can hear it, but let's take that single mom that's working 2 jobs. How many people are stopping by to check on her kids? It's not that she doesn't want to be with her kids. It's because she can't be with her kids because she has to work to provide for them. So how many people in our village have said, hey, let me check on this child. Let me make sure this child's eating. Let me ask this child how their day was at school.
That's true. That's because those are things that we used to do. But someone told us we arrived. And we believed that lie of arrival. Some of us bought into the lie of arrival. You know, that we've arrived somewhere that we haven't. And we were told, and somebody sold the bill of goods, and some of us bought it, and then we forgot about her. Because you know, there was a time when we would go down to her house and comb our kids' hair. Just because we knew that. But now we've arrived, so we don't do that no more.
I mean, with my job, it consisted of me going out and helping kids in the community. But there was very limited access to that help.
Right.
There were so many loopholes I had to jump through to get that help. To the point where I would say, you know what? I'll just handle this out of my pocket. Do I regret it? Never. Because at the end of the day, I was able to send that child home feeling like they have one less burden on their shoulders.
Well, I hope now you know you have all of us to lean on.
And that's the wonderful thing of school.
All you gotta do is call us and we'll do whatever. Each of us have something that we're good at doing. We're not all good at doing everything great because we can't, because we're who we are. But each of us have a part to play in making this community better and how to do it. And I'll say, when I first met you and Craig, I went to the school. And there were some things I noticed at the school. I went to the school as 2 people. When I go to the school, I go to the school as just Phyllis. But then I also go to the school with the state education chair of the NAACP, which shows me to be the other person. So I went to the room and I realized there was a camera in the computer room. So I stepped outside the room to look for the note, you know, because there's supposed to be a big note that said there's a camera, and there's a camera in here. Because my rights would be violated, so I need to know. Well, I stepped back out, and there was no sign there. So I asked Mr. Teacher Craig over there, where was the sign? And he looked at me like I had lost my marbles. I don't know sign. You know, so then I asked one of the kids about the lunch, and I didn't get a good answer about the lunch or the breakfast. You know, so that click part of my brain started working. You know, and then I began to ask some more questions, and I realized that the school wasn't sitting right. So I promised Craig and Ms. Vines that after school was over with, I would go to work. So 90% of the school is gone. The director is gone, and a lot of their staff is gone because Ms. Vines called me and asked me what did I do. I told her it wasn't her job to find out what I did. It wasn't. I didn't want her to know what I did, but I did what I'm supposed to do. Because my thing was I could protect them at that school level and give them the right people. And I can also remove the wrong people. So 90%, I hope y'all got new staff now. Okay. But, you know, those are things that we as a community need to do also. You know, like I said, I walked into the school and I'm like, first I was walking in, it's just me. I'm like, no, wait a minute, you going to school, idiot. So I began to look for the laws that weren't, when first thing I noticed was a little boy sitting outside. It was hot as I don't know what out there. He's sitting outside. I said, why are you sitting outside? He said, I'm waiting on my ride. Why are you sitting outside? He said, I'm waiting on my ride. I'm like, okay, I'm asking him the wrong question. I said, it's hot out here. Why can't you wait in the building? He said, because they won't let me. Okay, so, you know, I was beside myself at that one point. You know, so I took him by the hand. I don't know the child. I brought him back in the building. So the guy was like, he can't be in here. I said, yes, he can, because you're violating his civil rights. Whoops, oops. So the little boy sat down in the chair. I was happy, you know, because you was going to give it to him. I'm going to give it back. So he, you know, because I didn't think, to me that was crazy. Just because he's out of school for that, you know, his period's over, didn't mean that he need to stay out there in this drenching heat waiting for a ride when the building is air conditioned and cool. You know, so we need to do those things too. When we walk into buildings and we walk into places, along with protecting those kids on the outside, we need to protect them on the inside to make sure if they're not getting a proper education, get rid of the people that's there. Just get rid of them. It's simple to investigate it. Just get rid of them. We need to do that. So that was my first step. I promised you all that I would do. Miss Vines is looking at me. Go ahead and say it. But we did that, and because I looked at the fact that they were getting a piece of nothing for breakfast and lunch, but I looked at that school had a grant for breakfast and lunch. They had a grant, so most of the grant was going elsewhere. I'm not saying where it was going, but it was going someplace else. We need to look at those things when we begin to walk into basically our public charter schools. When we have them, I'm not saying all public charter schools are bad, but we need to be smart enough to look behind the scenes and make sure everything is done. You know, make sure they're accountable. And it's not hard to do. It's easy to do, but it's just something we need to add to our plate. Now, I know our plate's getting full, but too bad. So that's why we're here. We're here for a full plate, and we're here for the fight. So when we do things for our kids, we need to do them, but also we need to also attack our city council. I did email the city council a letter. I can't say what I said in the letter, but anyway, I let the city council know they have one job. I want you to remember, your city council has one job. Their one job is to make sure that the quality of life gets better. That's it. That's all they got to do. That's it. We don't need to say nothing else to them. If we all will sign up and go to city council and tell them, you have one job as the council person, one, to make sure the quality of life is better. Just think of it. That's all they got to do. It's not a hard rocket scientist explanation. That's all they need to do. So you all want a building, correct? I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. So you know what? We might need to, we might need to, first of all, look around downtown. If there's a building that you all say, hey, this building's perfect size for us, then we need to go ask the city. This building's empty, been empty for so many years. Why they can't have it?
We found a building that fits those requirements.
Okay, so all we need to do is jump on the city council?
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Not a problem. I don't think any of us got a problem with going, and we don't have to always go. You can call them, email them, go to it. You know me, I love harassing people through email. I love it because it's me. It's me. It's just something I'm good at, and we need to do. Well, Anna might be good at calling. Kwanda might be. However, we're good at doing it. We need to all do it. We all need to not do the same thing the same way. You don't attack a problem the same way. I'm sure Travaris and Joanne, who are in military, y'all didn't attack issues the same way. You just attack them multiple ways, but we need to do that. So if there's a building that you are looking at that will fit what you need, then it's our job to help those kids get that building. However, we need to do it, especially if it's vacant, because our city has no reason to have vacant buildings downtown when they can offer a tax abatement, and we know they can, to have that building used. And the city need to know if they do this, they can get money back off their taxes by giving the building away. I mean, so they should see that it's a circle going all the way around. Okay, now, next question is this. I need to know what the kids said that made you actually move. And anybody can start. What did they say Saturday to actually, what did they say to actually make you go, oh, okay. You know how you exchange the way you sit all of a sudden when somebody says something?
Yeah, well, for us, because we worked with a few of the kids that were inside of that space, it wasn't necessarily for me something that the children said. It was a conversation that was taking place between the parents relative to what the children were experiencing. Because when Miss Joanne was saying, go to the city, go to the school board,
right? And
how many of us participate in school board? I think for us, as we were sitting in there, you know, we kind of wanted to assign the blame to the parents for the condition of the children. But notwithstanding, children between kindergarten and 12th grade spend 15,000 hours in the care of educators. So those 15,000 hours are the 15,000 hours where the children is more than likely in receive mode to receive the patterns of behavior or the conditioning that will lead to the behaviors that they're experiencing. So when Joanne was saying go to the school board, you know, in the room, it was kind of like, well, what difference would that make when we can do something right now as parents? We can intervene. We can put our arms around these children right now. But if the majority of the time that the children are spending, they're spending in educational environments that aren't providing for the educational need for the children, it's not cultivating their intellect or giving the ability or developing the coping mechanisms to experience what they're experiencing. That made me move. That made me say, okay, I see how we can put a little more pressure on the school board by amassing and going into those locations so that way we can begin the process of trying to assist in the cultivation of policies that will give teachers the flexibility to be able to address the need. So, you know, our school board in this particular environment don't represent the demographic. You know, our demographic in Killeen, fortunately, is pretty even. You know, 33, 1 or something like that, as far as the nationalities and the races of the individuals in this environment. But our school board don't look like the children that go to our schools. So if it's children from a low socioeconomic demographic, the people who sit on the school board, they come from a higher socioeconomic demographic, then they're not necessarily concerned about the needs of the children that populate those schools or that have those particular problems. So we need to make sure that those unheard voices, that those voices are heard. And so that's something that made me want to move. It made me want to be more involved in that particular process. And my children have graduated. I, as a parent, you know, I did the best that I can. I was hurt as a child a lot. So I interacted with my children differently. I pulled up. I'm coming to the school. I'm going to be there. You're going to always see my face. And then it got to a point by doing that process when my children got older, they understood. When I come to the school now, don't have me come to the school and be embarrassed. Because I made sure that when you couldn't defend yourself, that I was there and I let everybody know I was ridiculous. But now when I come to the school, I don't expect for a teacher to tell me that they're having a problem out of you. You're too old for that. You understand? And it's likewise for our children. So our children need to be protected at a particular age, and then they need to be able to develop an independence at a certain age. And I think in that vulnerable space, those elementary years, that we have the least, cultivated, the least experienced educators educating our children when they're in their most vulnerable state. And so I think that we need to take a look at that as parents, and that really made me want to move, Miss Phyllis.
Okay, Anna, I have a question for you. It's directed straight to you. Okay, and Saturday. Okay, we've been in school for 3 weeks. Yeah, we've been there, sitting there every day. Anyway. And most of the stuff, I work special ed, so most of the stuff doesn't pertain to us, so we really tune it out. But what I did tune in is something that makes a difference in our kids. And we look at our test scores. I don't know if you all know, but Texas got a C. KISD got a C rating. A C. None of our schools did any further than, we just all met standards. Every school met the standards. Which don't look good. It doesn't look good. And overall, we were bad. But what I did find out last week, and I'll let you know Saturday, you know, the STARS test. Oh, yes, the big test. Guess what? The math part is not in Spanish. The test is in Spanish, but the math part isn't. The most important part of that test, you know, for our kids to succeed, it's not in Spanish.
So as far as LULAC already addressed that.
Okay.
And so they did create a version in Spanish. So a lot of the students, I don't even think they call it ESL anymore.
No.
They got rid of that. So they just want to involve, if you have a second language. And so a lot of what's going on is you're taking somebody that doesn't speak the language and coming into a school system, and you're just blending them in together. As you're going to pick it up, you're going to pick up the English, or you're not.
Yeah.
So that's something that LULAC's working on.
Right, because
to respect every child and every legacy that comes from that child. Because if you don't have those building blocks and have that student secure in what they're doing, that's 85% of the dropout reason. Because I started out, and as you start out, the second or third level gets higher and harder. So if I can't handle it on my first step, I might as well just stop.
Right.
And so we're doing it to our children, our community, and LULAC along as NAACP.
Yes.
We're working on that. So yes, when we spoke about that, I surely questioned that, and that was the response that I got.
Because also what we're having issue with is, okay, I work special ed. Our job is not to teach English. It's not our job. I mean, it's not that we don't care. It's just not our job. Our job is to manage their disability and to get that kid to either regular ed, because I work with 3-year-olds. So our job is to get them either regular ed pre-K or they end up staying in special ed. But the kid that comes to me that doesn't speak English, he speaks Spanish, I'm teaching them English the first day. This is your backpack. This is your cubby. This is your chair. And you know what I mean? There should be a class for that. That's what I mean. We should have a class because yes, he's catching it or they're catching it, but they're catching it later than the rest of the kids are, you know, and it makes it difficult for both of us because that kid's going to come to me and say something and I'm going to be looking, sure. Yeah. Okay. And, you know, so that's going to cause frustration, which causes anger for that child because he's telling me something that he needs and I have no clue. So we need to fix that barrier too between us.
And
not me and you, but you know what I mean.
That is also being addressed. Last year we encountered a family that the child did not speak English, and there were some issues that came about, and the parent actually took the child out of that school. Yeah. And I believe they went back to New York. Yeah. So that's something that the great state of Texas should not ever be second in education in any level, any language, any need.
Yeah. Because that grows into, like you said, that dropout rate. The kids go into a detention because if you don't understand me, I'm frustrated. And I don't know where to drop my anger at because there's nobody who's understanding me, you know, and I shouldn't have to go across the hall to get her to talk to this kid. You know, and now luckily in our class right now, we have a lady who's one of us co-workers. She speaks Spanish, which is great. But then that's not fair because they're going to place kids in our room just because she's there. So now I'm overburden her, you know, and frustrate some more people and parents. So we need to fix the system so that our kids aren't being frustrated, as you were saying, you know, for things that we don't understand. Why are you frustrated? Nobody understands me. Woo.
But you know, Phyllis, and everything that's been discussed and everything, the main factor is the parents.
Yes.
The parent. If the student comes home and says, I don't have homework, and the parent doesn't bother looking in the backpack, doesn't bother looking on the website, doesn't contact the teacher, then it has to be a balance. We had to have a 2-lane road, you know, and in that 2-lane, somebody has to be driving that, and that child has to be accountable to the parent as well as the parent to the child. Not to say the child has to gets just be all out disrespectful and be demanding. What I'm saying is partnership, family.
But you know, we have a lot of and once again, like I said, because I'm elementary school, the short people, but we have a lot of parents who drop their kids off at school and walk to Ellison. You know, we have a lot of parents who drop their kids off and I know go to Richard Milburn and all these other schools. So then we know that I can't blame her. You know what I mean? I can't put much blame on her because heck, she's in a school, and we have more of that than people need to understand, of the parent dropping the kid off at school and then they go into school. You know, so we can't, like I said, we can blame her for maybe your kid needs more pull-ups. You know what I mean? We can say, well, you know, your kid needs more formula. But as far as raising them, you're like, oh, sheesh, you know. And then sometimes you look at the grandmother, and when the grandmother comes, the grandmother could have been the parent, you know, because they're all young. So now you look at them, you know, well, okay. And at that point, you don't throw your hands up and say, I give up, but you throw your hands up to say, okay, I can't talk to her. It's not going to work. Can't talk to her. It's not going to work. Okay. So then, we go on a grand search sometime to find out, somebody got to fix this. But you're right. And you're right, Travas, about the parents. But other issue is, like I said, we have children raising children, and the grandmother is no older than the children because she had her early. So we have a syndrome right there that we need to also look at and cultivate differently. Because if we have a problem with our kids, it's cultivated one way. But if you got a 16-year-old with a kid who, the kid's in school and they're going to school, I got to talk to her differently. I can't have the same conversation with Joanne that I would have with her. If you find the father for the kid, you can't have the same conversation. It becomes a different conversation that we got to get into. So a lot of the issues, and I'm not, trying to defend them, but a lot of the issues our kids are having now is ask the age of their parent. Well, how's your mother? Oh, okay. You kind of, okay, well, and a lot of parents too, we got to go back to teaching our parents how to be advocates for their kids. Parents don't know how to advocate for their kids. They don't know how. And we need to teach them how. We need to tell them how. We need to show them how. We need to show them how to dress. I see parents come up looking like, oh my God. And they come up there with this attitude. And I'm looking them up and down like you got on your pajama pants, some house shoes, and you going to talk to me some crap about your kid. Really? That's what you want to say. But so there's some growing up and teaching we need to do in all this to help our kids. We got to do to help them out, and our girls that are pregnant and they're teenagers, they don't have anybody. We might need to be to somebody. 4 of us might need to be the girl's mother because she don't have one. We might need to pull them in and say she has no father figure in her life. Dad kicked her to the curb, so you need to talk to her. So those are extra things that we need to be prepared to do for our kids. And show them that, when we keep saying this village issue thing, that we actually are functioning as a village. And the kids from last week, each of them got our phone numbers and stuff to contact us. So now the onus is on them. You know what I mean? We put it back. Okay, we gave you all of our phone numbers. We gave you. So if you don't call me now, I can't say that. Not that, it's like, okay, I gave you my number. And I like the fact that the kids picked the time to have the next one. We didn't pick it. We did not pick it, which was great. But they decide, yes, we're going to do this again. Yes, this is the time and date to do it. So now they've taken ownership of something right now. Right now, they own their You Speak Out. They know where it's going to be. So they own something right now. So this should also, I don't know if it caused a change in them. Did it cause any change in them?
Well, some of them, they felt like they were finally heard for the first time. Because after the show, we got together and we took them out to eat to kind of get insight on how they felt. Some of them felt like they weren't being heard by certain people on the panel.
Right.
But for the most part, they felt like people finally began to show an interest into what they were feeling or what they were trying to come across. They started coming up with more topics they want to talk about.
Good.
So for the most part, they felt like finally I was able to release something and somebody heard it. They ignore. I told them, we're going to run into people who may not understand it. And they said, well, I understand that now. I said, but you got to look at the people who you felt did understand. So I think they're ready. And they were like, well, some of them I go on their Facebook because some of them I have on their page, and they're like, oh man, y'all need to come to the next one and y'all need to look at this. So I think it opened up, excuse me, their mind, and I think they began to speak to their friends about it.
Good.
So the next time we may have a very different group. So
and that's good. Yeah.
They were very, very moved.
That's good. That's good. Because they need to have, this is theirs. And a lot of, and then our time is like up. But anyway, the one thing I want to say, I want to first of all thank you all for coming last Saturday. And I thank you coming on this Saturday. And this group is not gonna, we're not gonna go away. We're all in this together as one, to save our children and to make sure that they're okay and make sure they do better. But the reason, a couple of people asked me about a topic, And what we all need to know, when you do a youth speak out, even when you look them up, there's never a topic. You can't topic children. You know, then if we'd have topic them, we'd have put them in a corner and say, this is all we're going to let you talk about. So those who I asked to be on the panel and asked me that crazy question of what's the topic, you can't do topics with children. When I was adults, yeah, you need to give us one because we'll never shut up. But if you want to listen to your children and listen to them well, you don't topic them. You know, the only thing I told them that they could do is they had to reframe some of their language. That was the only rule I gave them, is they had to reframe some of the language because we know how their language is. Not all of the youth, but we know every now and then that word goes flying out, and you know, that's the only rule that they had, and that's the only rule they all ever will have. And this is never end. I hope it does grow. Hope it does move faster, because at one point we need to bring both groups of kids together. You know, and also in schools we need to get rid of this word called at risk, because you know that means at risk to fail in life. So we need to stop people from saying I work with at-risk kids or I'm an at-risk whatever. We need to take that word out of Texas's mouth, and that's on the state level. We need to take the word out, because I'm gonna teach you. If you're at risk and I teach you at risk, that means I'm not teaching you to progress. I'm teaching you because you poor little child, you're not gonna make it in life. So let me throw you a few things of education, because you're not gonna make it. We need to get rid of the word at risk. At reach. And yeah, at reach would be great. And we need to get rid of zero tolerance, because zero tolerance means I don't have to tolerate nothing your kid does. I can get rid of them. So we need to get rid of those two words, and I think our kids would be much better in the educational system. So when we vote, when we go to the school boards, ask the question: get rid of at risk and get rid of zero tolerance, because both of those things are sending our kids straight to nowhere. But I want to thank everyone for listening to Kids Community Connections this morning. I hope we all learned something. We all did learn something. And those of you who want to come on board for next time, contact me. I may say yes and I may say no. Depends on you. And that's being true. That's actually being truthful. But I want you to always remember, you cannot lead a positive life with a negative mind. We'll talk to you next Sunday. Bye.